It's great to have you. Nice to see you. I'm looking forward to our discussion. Christoph, Stefan, I have prepared a couple of questions for you. And there's some things I really want to know, and I think you are also faced with this in your everyday work lives. Many things will change over time, just like our cities will change, and so requirements to your products change, but also to your communication with your partners and your target groups. Today is the second telescope event, and our topic is design. Last year we talked about security. I think security is really the foundation for all of us, for architects, for metal workers, for planners, but of course also for residents and users of buildings. Well, now let's look at design. Where's your focus regarding this big term, this buzzword, design? Well, you've already mentioned it. Security and also safety are an absolute must. But design means creative freedom. This is our opportunity to also address people's needs. And of course, that's also when things start to become more fun when it's about aesthetics. And I always say that the biggest compliment someone can give us is saying, looking at a door, oh, I would have never thought that's a fire safety door, because then we have struck that perfect symbiosis between function and aesthetics, and steel is a great option here. Well, yeah, that's a good example, because fire safety doors are, of course, a requirement in public buildings, and that's, of course, an issue for many people, I think. But I would like to get back to this term, design, because it has become a buzzword, like sustainability, for example. How would you define this term for Jansen? But I think taking our own building, the Jansen campus, is a great example. We worked intensely with our architect Davide Marculo. We had a joint vision that we developed and worked 9 to 5, not only 9 to 5, also 5 to 9. We had lengthy discussions about how the building should look, because the campus was about a vision. We wanted to create a building where our employees feel at ease and comfortable, that blends into the region, with this rural character. We are in a village here in the St. Gallen Rhine Valley, but a building that also takes in the mountains surrounding it. We wanted to have big glass surfaces that bring nature into the building. And this is also why we used high-quality wooden floors, for example. We want people to feel great here, but we also want our employees to meet each other, and this is why we made a conscious choice to enable spontaneous encounters in the hallways, etc. Working with Davide was great. It was great fun. It was exciting. We are still friends. Well, that's always good, right? Definitely a good sign. And I'm also looking forward to having the opportunity during our Q&A session to talk about other projects that we have implemented with Davide Marculo. And so, yeah, this building was really us trying to focus on the needs of the users. Well, that's a good keyword. I would like to get back to the needs in a minute. And maybe you also just hinted to it, consciously or unconsciously, what we can expect today. You talked about transparency, so a lot of glass playing with light, but also diversity and variety. And when it comes to the object presentations later, we will learn more about this. But talking about the needs, I don't know who of you would like to reply to this question. I always say needs shouldn't just be satisfied, but actually exceeded. What do you think about this? Well, yeah, one thing here is definitely large glass formats. That's really key, and we have a lot of options here. And we also try and use our product range here and cover a lot of application areas with it. We want to make sure that architects have absolute creative freedom. And particularly focusing on steel as a material, there's something special about it, because most other materials are limited when it comes to dimensions, for example. But steel basically has no limits. You can let your imagination run wild, and it's the perfect material to implement visions. And on top of that, steel, of course, while being a very traditional material, it's also a very sustainable material. And so it's also a modern material. Well, yeah, that's also something that I've learned working with you guys, I have to admit. How sustainable steel as a material really is. This is something that I didn't know beforehand, and I think this can also be very eye-opening for future projects. Now, if I remember it correctly, one of your print media brochures that are also available online has the title Building with Steel and Style. Now, I would like to know, how well do design and steel really go hand in hand? Well, one aspect is, of course, the material. We don't only use steel, we also have stainless steel and weathering steel or corten steel. Not every surface has to be coated conventionally. We don't always need a surface treatment. Stainless steel as a noble material, for example, doesn't get any coating and it remains in the same state. And corten has the same effects, weathering steel has the same effect, there's no need for a coating. And I would also like to point to our new virtual showroom, because you have the opportunity there to depict various materials, play with them, and also switch between different building types. Yes, that's an interesting note. Thank you, especially thinking of the virtual platform that we are using here today. Christoph, Stefan, thank you so much. It was a great pleasure meeting you and talking to you, and you have replied to a lot of my questions, and if there's anything else I want to know who to turn to. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, it was great fun.